London, hello, it's April the 3rd. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, and behaviour. I think it was both for me. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, equally addictive. People, places and things. Being in the right place, with the right people, doing the right things. And having the right things. So obsessing about being right, looking right, and showing up right. And I guess over the years, putting on this mask and putting alcohol between me and the world was a way of coping with harsh reality, the reality that probably I wasn't doing quite what was intended, or quite what I could have done, because I didn't know what I should be doing. And these days I don't worry about that. Living one day at a time, I find out what I can and cannot do today. Know a little bit more about myself by the end of it, and stay sober. So what helped me along the way? Family, community, friends, medical people. I burned everybody out in the end, and I still couldn't stop drinking. And then I asked for help. That moment of clarity where I thought it couldn't get any worse. Some people call it the jumping off point, where we either kill ourselves or we find a way to get sober. And I had to say to myself, whatever I've done so far, self-will, willpower, has failed. My own self-will. Even down to obsession and trying beyond belief to do it on my own, because that's what I was taught by society, and it seemed to be the way. Stiff upper lip, put on a brave face, and deal with your situation. And I think in the past I probably went to try and get sober just by giving it up off my own bat, and that turned me into what is called a dry drunk, which is simply trying to make life work and still being obsessed by alcohol or whatever it might have been at the time. Obsessed because I wanted it a certain way, so it looked right and I felt right about it. But if we have this malady of addiction, whatever we call it, a malady, an allergy, an illness, whatever it is, I realised I needed help to keep sober. And so I was tried out. I went to rehab and left it in a rage, because that was the first time I'd ever experienced the negative emotions of anger, resentment and rage. And I drank again. And then I had to come to an understanding with myself. Homeless, destitute pretty much, still pretending I was all right and doing all sorts of shenanigans to keep alive. I needed help, and AA proved to be the way forward. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. It's full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they will. But I share here some of the literature of AA and what AA does for me on a daily basis. And I always start, when I'm talking about AA, with the AA preamble, on this little card here. Not only does it have the AA preamble shared at every meeting, it also has the 12 steps and 12 traditions inside. You can't see it too well from here. Oh yes, you can. There you go. And on the back it's got the Serenity Prayer, which you can't see too well. So the AA preamble, something about the 12 steps and 12 traditions, and the Serenity Prayer is what I include in these videos. So starting with the Serenity Prayer, not the Serenity Prayer, the AA preamble, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's a lot of things, but what it boils down to, there is only one requirement, a desire to stop, to join in the fellowship. And then the primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. and in the background you can hear the collection of bottles from my next door neighbours at the restaurant by Bendham, quite a famous restaurant here in London, in the Michelin building. And I often take photographs of their of their bins, which are full of wine bottles. There you go, the wine bottles going in the bin. And it makes me laugh because there's no wine bottles in my bin today, and hasn't been for some years. And that's the gift of fellowship and sobriety, that I'm still alive. I don't drink anymore, and I don't really obsess about it, although you might think so because I do these videos. But I do these as part of my unity, service and recovery, if you like, sharing a message. But it's important to remember that this is just one voice, and it was the many voices in AA which made it possible. What you see is what you get in AA on any given day. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's horrible, and sometimes it's wonderful, just as life is for people. So for every sad story that we may hear in a meeting, there's probably a good story or a good news story. And we may seem a bit callous when we're listening, but we're listening to the similarities of our own experience. So we can say, yes, I identify with that. And there go the bottles, being taken for recycling. A bit like me, I've been recycled into somebody who doesn't drink, just for one day. And I'm very lucky, I really am, because once we're in the malady, most people can't get out of it. And most people see AA as a horrible place to go to, because after all, if we're drinkers, the very last place we want to go is the place of temperance or sobriety, because it's against our inner core or being. But actually we've been distorted from our being sober. Humanity wasn't designed for drinking, but of course, man-made, self-will, we know best, we know better, all that. And gradually these days, a lot of people are deciding we've had enough, we need to get out of this malady. So AA has given me the many voices, as I've said, many voices of recovery, and that's what's important, not my voice. So meetings are where it's all happening, and if this is really a backstop, if you can't get to a meeting, or you're just trying to find out a bit more about the programme, which enables a person to get their freedom of choice back. So, Daily Reflections for today, this book, covers step 4 in April, 4th month, 4th step, all about doing a fearless moral inventory. And when we say moral inventory, it's around our behaviour, and it's about assets as well as liabilities, those things which kept us drinking. So April 3rd, accepting our humanness. We finally saw that the inventory should be ours, not the other man's. So we admitted our wrongs honestly and became willing to set these matters straight. And this is so important. The toolkit of AA, the 12 steps, and more, shows us where our faults are. It's not about judging other people, but the problem with the 12 steps is, not only does it provide us with the greatest asset of self-examination, it enables us to examine the behaviour of other people. And if we examine other people's behaviour, we can always put the blame on them, can't we? But it's not about them, it's about sorting out the side of the street and straightening up. Why is it that the alcoholic is so unwilling to accept responsibility? I used to drink because of the things that other people did to me. Once I came to AA, I was told to look at where I had been wrong. What did I have to do with all these different matters? When I simply accepted that I had a part in them, what is my part in it? I was able to put it on paper and see it for what it was. Humanness. I'm human. I'm not expected to be perfect. I have made errors before, and I will make them again. To be honest about them allows me to accept them, and myself, and those with whom I have the differences. From there, recovery is just a short distance ahead. And I like that, because it's about keeping our side of the street clean, no matter what other people do, and we can judge them very harshly, because we're human, we judge people, as well as our own behaviour. We are hardest on ourselves once we realise what we've been up to. And it can be a revelation if we actually say, well, the worst of it is we were there, and then we got stuck in it as well. And what the fellowship does, or the 12 steps, is show us that just because we're there doesn't mean we've got to join in and make it worse. And as Bill sees it, this book, which is a companion really to the Daily Reflections, it says here on page 17, toward honesty, the perverse wish to hide a bad motive underneath a good one permeates human affairs from top to bottom. This subtle and elusive kind of self-righteousness can underlie the smallest act or thought. Learning daily to spot, admit and correct these flaws is the essence of character building in good living. The deception of others is nearly always rooted in the deception of ourselves. So although on the surface we come along free and able and wanting to be a part of, we may have an ulterior motive. And we also may guess that other people have an ulterior motive as well. So we can find our own, and we can probably see those of others. But what the inventory system is all about is actually rooting out what are we doing this for, and what is our ulterior motive. So it can be a lot of reasons, and we come to understand them by doing the inventory. Somehow, being alone with God doesn't seem as embarrassing as facing up to another person. Until we actually sit down and talk aloud about what we have so long hidden, our willingness to clean house is still largely theoretical. When we are honest with another person, it confirms that we have been honest with ourselves and with God. And so when we do the personal inventory of assets and liabilities, normally about anger, resentment and all those negative feelings, we start to get really, really honest about what was troubling us from the very start. And it was probably because we didn't know how to be open, honest and willing to change and be a part of, be included, and not a big shot, not in control, but going along with the freedom of choice given our real life situation. And sometimes it's the freedom to choose not to join in with other people's dishonesty, and the freedom of choice to walk away when things not so much don't suit us, but just are wrong. So some situations are just wrong, and if we stay and be a part of it, we just make it worse. So being true to oneself is what the inventory is all about. And it's wonderful because it means we don't have to pretend anymore, and it's okay to say no. And it took me a long time to be able to say these things. Gandhi said an emphatic no is better than a half-hearted yes. But even now, when I recognise I may hurt the feelings of others, I am so reluctant to say no, because I think I can fix it. And the answer is I can't fix other people's feelings. I need to look after my own feelings and own my decisions to join in or not to join in. There's a book called the 24-Hour Day book, and I'll just include a reading from that today for April 3rd. It says here, thought for the day: when I was drinking, I was absolutely selfish. I thought of myself first, last and always, and in the end I did, because I was always making sure there was enough drink there for me to consume, and always brought plenty along to the party for other people as well, but always had my stash. The universe revolved around me at the centre. When I woke up in the morning with a hangover, my only thought was how terrible I felt about what I could do to make myself feel better, and the only thing I could think of was more alcohol or more liquor. To quit was impossible. I couldn't see beyond myself and my own need for another drink. Can I now look out beyond my own selfishness? Although it's called selfishness, to be selfish you have to be self-aware. And for many years I don't think I was that self-aware. So when I did become self-aware and I couldn't stop, I was flabbergasted and so disappointed in me as a human going concern that I really didn't know if I wanted to be alive anymore. Life had got so distorted. But the weird thing is, even in the lowest of days when it's really, really harsh, even in recovery, if I remember where I've come from and I can just ask for help around the issues that I have to face, if I ask for help, it's not a problem shared is a problem doubled for two people. It's a problem shared, but somebody else may have the answer. And if I share in a meeting of AA just exactly what my situation is, open, honest and willing to tell the truth, I'll probably get some feedback from somebody who may know a solution. So if there is a God working through others, it seems to work for me. And I was worried and troubled about the concept of God until I realised it's a personal concept that we develop in recovery, a God of our understanding, or whatever it might be, we call the higher power. So the higher powers around me vary from day to day. I get wisdom from others. I get wisdom by listening to what is going around me and being able to see the situation for what it is, truthfully, without my own personal self-interest being the focus. How do I fit in, be included, find the truth, love and wisdom that can help me today? So I'm grateful for fellowship, and I don't know, some days I seem to have been an agnostic, an atheist or a believer. But what I do believe in, a higher power than me can sort it out. So through reflection, meditation, prayer, I get insight, looking beyond what I know already. And I often get that from other people. So however it works, there are greater sources of truth, which then leads to love and wisdom from others. That's how it works for me. And the inventory is so important to sort out where we are coming from, so we can then draw a line in the sand and say, from here on in, I want to live today, free of the burdens of the past. And we do that by doing the steps in my recent experience. And they only work for one day, and they only work for when we ask for help. So we can go backwards as well as forwards in recovery. If we take on control again of things which are not there to be controlled by us, we will be, I suppose, put back in the wreckage of thinking we know better. And it's better to be included and work out an answer with people rather than try and impose our reality on them, because it's not real, it's only an outlook, an opinion. So what keeps me straightened? Yes, the fellowship. It's been a great weekend so far. My sister graduated, well, a little bit of time ago, but it was the graduation ceremony yesterday. It was good to go. I had consequences because of it. The main consequence is happiness for her, and being a part of a celebration which had nothing much to do with me, and I was able to take some photos. Now that's fun, but also my consequences, because of other ailments, mean it's laid me a bit low in terms of mobility and other matters. But that's good too, because at least I know what's going on, because medical professionals helped me find out the answers to what I need to do today. So what helps me when everything's in flux and I'm not too sure is the serenity prayer. The most useful tool on a daily basis at any time when I'm getting out of my depth, or I think I know better and I'm not too sure. The serenity prayer is to God or good conscience, or whatever how you come to understand in your life. And as I say, most of what is around me are higher powers than me. Wisdom, knowledge, and a better perspective. So to God or good conscience, as you come to understand for yourself, it's your personal understanding which counts. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is, for me, just for today. Substance and behaviour in my case as well. And from convivial and joyful to sad, rejecting myself as much as anybody rejecting me, self-harming through drink, and unable to stop. 24/7 drinker, out on the streets and nowhere to go. That's what it took me to. And along those 35 years, 2 pretty good careers, successful in many ways, in ways which I never really understood, because I never really understood life too well. I was always trying to be the best I could, and for me that meant what was the next thing I could do to fix me and the people around me, and the job I did, and the relationships I had, and what next material thing could I get to make my life feel better. So I had a basic misunderstanding about my emotions and misunderstanding about my worth. I didn't know how to value myself, which also meant I probably overvalued or undervalued other relationships as well, and never got to a place of balance where I could just be happy in this one moment we really have, the moment of now. So what's helped me get sober one day at a time and stay sober one day at a time? The story includes family, friends, professionals, you name it. I went there seeking help and not really understanding. A lot of the time I did not want to stop doing something which I considered to be my best friend, and that was drinking alcohol. But I do still fix in some ways. Coffee. And I still smoke, and I know I ought not to. It's not about should, could or want. I ought not. So I'm far from perfect. But these days life works a lot better if I don't drink on a daily basis. That's my primary addiction, alcohol, and my behaviour in tandem with it as life went along: work, relationships and collecting. So materialistic, a marketing person's dream. How do I keep sober these days? Well, it wasn't down to me. I had a lot of help: family, friends, community, professionals, and then ongoing, once I was detoxed and I started to feel life again, raw emotions, was the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I realised there were a bunch of people who went to fellowship meetings who were sober. They didn't drink a day at a time. I didn't believe them. I thought they were lying. I thought after a month or two I'd be able to go back to safe drinking. Or 6 months. They would open up a new type of fellowship. There would be some inner sanctum where it was safe to drink again. All I found was people just kept keeping sober, and then they lived their lives and keep on living their lives one day at a time. And somehow, having left the obsession of drink behind, other things start to come to balance, a balance in my outlook. And where I share here, I don't speak for AA, never can, never will. It's full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they choose. And there are other people who speak about fellowship and what it means to them in meetings, or on the radio, or on videos. It's a personal choice. So my personal choice is to say, I'm in recovery, and without the benefit and help and support of people who have learned wisdom how to be sober, I wouldn't be here. I know that. So it's dramatic, and my story is not unusual. It's tragic in many ways, but it had a lot of joy and emotion in it too. So where are we today? Well, I share from the literature of AA, if it helps me, and other sources. So it's just my outlook, and I hope other people share their outlooks too. I share the AA preamble on this card, and also something about the 12 steps of AA, 12 steps of action for individuals to help change our attitude, my behaviour. The 12 steps are about me and my learning, not about blaming the rest of the world. And that's part of this month, April, the 4th step, all about doing our own personal audit, if you like, or inventory, a serious look at who we are and how we got to where we are now, and what was our part in it. Not the part of other people, although that impacted, because we have resentments and fears about what happened to us and why we drank in the first place. So this audit is helpful. It's not to be frightened of. It's about living life free of all those things which made us fearful. So first I share the AA preamble, and then a little bit of literature, all about step 4 in April. So here's the AA preamble. AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's it, a desire only. And that's everything. There are no dues, or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Wonderful. And I've mentioned the personal inventory, which reads, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Moral meaning the good and the bad of us. And sometimes we don't like to look back, but it's useful to do it. If we do an audit and understand where we've come from, and understand why, the moral inventory, the assets and liabilities we have along the way, we can build on the ruins, if you like, rebuild. And that's the gift. And one of the things we try and do in sobriety is sort out our emotions, what's happening, and be more aware of what is going on for us in the moment of now, our spiritual connection to reality. So spiritual, if anybody asks you, is the ability to cope with now. Well, that is what I have found, and it's agreeable to me. So I can't be a guru, I can only be as good as my spiritual moment, and we all have those all the time. That's how it works. So the emotions we deal with, the primary ones on a daily basis: fear, joy, love, sadness, surprise, anger. We can fear life, be joyful about it, love people around us and be loved back. Sadness comes as life offers. Surprise, sometimes it works, life days. And anger, when things upset us. And underneath all that there are lots of words. And I've got a 6-page document which I pulled off the internet this morning, and it tells me a lot about fear, joy, love, sadness, surprise and anger. And that's what the moral inventory is really about, sorting out our feelings and understanding our emotional base based on the moral things that have either happened to the good of us or the bad of us. And it says here in the daily reflections, this one page a day, all about step 4 in April, accepting our humanness. And this is what it says: we finally saw the inventory should be ours, not the other man's. So we admitted our wrongs honestly and became willing to set these matters straight. So it's not about what other people did to us, it's what happened to us and our part in it, how we reacted and responded. I drank a lot, and it got the best of me, and I harmed myself, and more. It goes on to say, why is it that the alcoholic is so unwilling to accept responsibility? I used to drink because of the things that other people did to me. Once I came to AA, I was told to look at where I had been wrong. What did I have to do with all these different matters? When I simply accepted that I had a part in them, I was able to put it on paper and see it for what it was: humanness, being human. I am not expected to be perfect. I have made errors before, and I will make them again. To be honest about them allows me to accept them, and myself, and those with whom I had the differences. From there, recovery is just a short distance ahead. So, at the end of these videos, because I've run out of time, what helps me every day is the serenity prayer, many times. To God or good conscience: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me is just for today. Behaviour, my addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect. I suppose a perfect drinker, I guess, able to drink what I liked, when I liked, and get away with it. And I guess fix myself, my feelings on a daily basis. If I wasn't drinking, I was working. If I wasn't working, I was in a relationship. If I wasn't doing drinking, working in a relationship, I'd be down the gym. Doing everything to the extreme, pushing myself as far as I could. And that's a feature of my life, and striving to be worthwhile, striving to be happy. There is a saying, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And I guess there is a mixture in there which comes out as a balance in living. So for me it's very important to understand what is going on for me on a daily basis. So I ask myself in the morning when I wake up, how am I feeling, why, what can I do? And if I'm going to be involved with people during the day, to be included, I need to check out how they are feeling, why, and what can we do together. So the how am I feeling, why, and what can I do is very much a solitary exercise to actually calibrate where I am today. And then when I'm in the company of others and included and part of, it's how are we feeling, why, and what can we do. So we all meet around different reasons and realities, if you like, just the way the day is. So for me, how am I feeling? Well, my blood sugars aren't too bad for the type 1 diabetes that I have. My clinical depression is not at a low. It's stable somewhere, sort of not good but not bad. And I'm in recovery one day at a time. And so this triumvirate of things to deal with, recovery, clinical depression and type 1 diabetes, is an ongoing day-by-day exercise in living my life, the living experience of life. And I say that because it's easy to be theoretical, intellectual, and less emotional and less engaged. And what I've found over the last few years in recovery, being sober one day at a time, as best I can, that doesn't mean I'm sober perfect, never so. I have an idea of experiencing life as it is. I'm feeling life as it is, and I have a spiritual connection to living, and that's living in the moment. The zeitgeist, if you like, that people talk about, the spirit of the age or the spirit of the day. So if I'm in the day and experiencing it, my emotional range is being utilised, and my spiritual connection to now is just coping with what is. And I guess an archbishop said, when asked what is spiritual, they said the ability to cope. Simply that. Anyway, what helps me cope is being part of a fellowship, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and we share a preamble at the beginning of every meeting. And I share it here, not because this is me as a spokesperson, it's just me and my life. I don't speak for AA, but it helps me immensely. So when I hear the preamble in a meeting, it slows me down to the moment of now, where I can connect with other people sharing their experience, strength and hope. And the AA preamble at the beginning of every meeting goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes, and certainly does not support my videos. It's an entity, not a cause. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And you know, that last sentence, which says our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I guess I do these videos for two reasons. One, it helps me meditate and reflect on where I am today, and make use of the literature of AA, so I can improve my chances on a daily basis of living my life. If I try and make it so, I'm forgetting that I am powerless over most things around me. The only thing I can do is inform myself about my choices on a daily basis. So what helps me are books like this, the Daily Reflections, the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions of AA, and As Bill Sees It, this book. And I particularly like all of them. I can't actually say one is my favourite, but you know what, each one has a bit of wisdom in on a daily basis if I choose to look at them. And the Daily Reflections covers each month one of the 12-step program. So if you're in recovery, you know all about what a 12-step program is. If you're just thinking that maybe you need recovery, 12 steps are action steps which can be put into practice on a daily basis. And we will not be perfect in the first instance, but there is one we can get right, and that is step one, which is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and life had become unmanageable. So once we've admitted it, then we have a lifetime to try and get into sober living. And we don't get sober very quickly. If we're lucky, we take our time, and we learn how to relate to ourselves and to other people through fellowship, and then back into family, community, society. So it's all about making life work. I keep saying experiencing life, and letting life happen to us, and being a part of, and not in control of it. We are just part of interdependence with other people, and once we get that one straight, we have a better chance of making life okay today. I keep saying making, it's getting on my nerves too. So the daily reflections covers one step a month, and we're on step 4, which is about making a fearless moral inventory of our behaviour and attitudes over our drinking lifetime, or what we learned and what is not helpful to us. And for April 3rd, it says, accepting our humanness. We finally saw that the inventory should be ours, not the other man's, so we admitted our wrongs honestly and became willing to set these matters straight. And that comes from As Bill Sees It, page 222. I'll be covering As Bill Sees It in a different way in a moment. Why is it that the alcoholic is so unwilling to accept responsibility? I used to drink because of the things that other people did to me. Once I came to AA, I was told to look at where I had been wrong. What did I have to do with all these different matters? When I simply accepted that I had a part in them, I was able to put it on paper and see it for what it was, humanness. I am not expected to be perfect. I've made errors before, and I will make them again. To be honest about them allows me to accept them and myself and those with whom I had the differences. From there, recovery is just a short distance ahead. And for me, that is so important that, we are taking an inventory. It talks about the liabilities often, but it's the assets as well, because there are two sides to every coin. And in As Bill Sees It for today, this is me doing them linearly, but not necessarily about step 4. It says here, thousands of founders. While I thank God that I was privileged to be an early member of AA, I honestly wish that the word founder could be eliminated from the AA vocabulary. When you get right down to it, everyone who has done any amount of successful 12th step work is bound to be the founder of a new life for other alcoholics. And the 12th step is about sharing the message, which is pretty much why I do these as well, these videos. AA was not invented. Its basics were brought to us through the experience and wisdom of many great friends. We simply borrowed and adapted their ideas. Thankfully, we have accepted the devoted services of many non-alcoholics. We owe our very lives to men and women of medicine and religion. And speaking for Dr. Bob and myself, I gratefully declare that had it not been for our 2 wives, Anne and Lois, neither of us would have lived to see AA's beginning. So really what it's saying to me is it's quite true. AA borrows everything from everywhere and anywhere in order to help a person live their life sober. And that is the absolute gift. And step 4, the fearless moral inventory, reads like this. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. It then goes on to say how instincts can exceed their proper function. Step 4 is an effort to discover our liabilities. And I'll cover that in more detail at another time because I'm just running out. But the acceptance of where I am today is in the serenity prayer to the God of your understanding or your higher power. Mine is AA and the world in general, and civilization and nature and providence. And the serenity prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today. About AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And good morning, April 3rd, 2008, just coming up to 8 o'clock. And I'm about half hour later than I expected. My brother rang me. He's travelling up to Birmingham, and it's his 50th birthday over the weekend. And we're looking forward to seeing him here in London, and it'll be nice because his whole family are going to be up. So, good news, and a family event to look forward to, which is a big change for me. And I don't know that family always wanted to see me because I was an alcoholic and not in recovery so many years ago. and I don't blame them. I didn't really like looking in the mirror either. So, it's a big change around. More stable, more myself, learning how to be me. And I'm only 52. So, where am I now today? Well, I went to 2 meetings yesterday. That was on Wednesday. It's now Thursday. So, Eaton Square for 1 o'clock, and an excellent chair. And it showed me the power that alcohol has over us who are addicts and not in recovery. We get to places of oblivion and blackout where we don't know what's going on, and we do things which are out of character. And there was a lot of talk about hard times, what have been done, things about forgiveness, and how do you forgive yourself for the worst of worst that can possibly be done to one human by another. And if we're not in our right minds and we have a disease and we're blacked out, it's no wonder that we have so many people who are trying to make sense of life again in sobriety. And those are hard things to live with. I'm talking about the worst of crimes. And we move on. We have to. And I thought to myself, if I were in their shoes, what would I do? And as the person said, dying was the best option they felt at the time. And it took a lot of years, decades, to accept what had happened and try and make a life again. And a salutary lesson, really, because, some of us do things which are stupid and silly, but we do hurt people when we are drunk and not able to stop drinking, simply because we're not there. We're not all there, that's for sure. And, sometimes it's made light of, but often it's a very, very heavy burden people have to carry on. Anyway, last night was one of my favourite meetings down at Fulham Broadway, where I meet people I've known for some years. And it's one of those groups of people who, it's a small room, so it's not overly big. And there's probably about 20 people turn up. And the secretaries seem to get good chairs. Or people turn up on the day and they just tell the truth about their life, their experience, strength and hope, and how it may apply to us all. And I think that's the best thing. And I didn't share last night, actually, which was quite unusual for me, because I would consider it my home group, and I was sitting next to my sponsor, who is 10 times the number of years I am sober, 10 times, and so has a lot of wisdom of living a day at a time. And he always says you can only fit your life into one day. You can't change the past, and you can't really do anything about the future till it arrives. So the whole connection to now, the spiritual experience, is in the moment. It's April, so it's step 4 of the 12-step program in this book, Daily Reflections. And April is all about the fearless moral inventory. So here we go. Step 4, April the 3rd. Accepting our humanness. And I'm accepting my humanness, and I'm going to have to swap my glasses over because I can't see. My blood sugars are a bit up. And here we go. We finally saw that the inventory should be ours, not the other man's, so we admitted our wrongs honestly and became willing to set these matters straight. From the book As Bill Sees It, page 222. Why is it that the alcoholic is so unwilling to accept responsibility? I used to drink because of the things that other people did to me. Once I came to AA, I was told to look at where I had been wrong. What did I have to do with all these different matters? When I simply accepted that I had a part in them, I was able to put it on paper and see it for what it was, humanness. I am not expected to be perfect. I have made errors before, and I will make them again. To be honest about them allows me to accept them and myself and those with whom I have the differences. From there, recovery is just a short distance ahead. And really what it's saying is, step 4 is not the big O of it. I'm sure that lots of people have things which make them feel very shameful and guilty. And I think I have a few in there as well. And I've made my amends as I went in my life, predominantly, except to family and me. And some who it would be more harmful to go back and say sorry to. So where does that leave me? There have been people who have asked my forgiveness in the last few years. Former partners women who I loved dearly, and why they ever wanted to be forgiven, I couldn't imagine, because I loved them, and that was it. And maybe I loved them too much, or maybe I was just overly out of it, I don't know. But without doubt, to err is human, and to forgive is human. It's not divine, it's a human quality of letting go and saying it's okay to be you, and I'm learning how to be me. Anyway, from As Bill Sees It, as I just mentioned, this is page 121. We are not fighting. We have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity is returned. That's all about step 2. We can now react sanely and normally, and we find that this has happened almost automatically. We see that this new attitude toward liquor is really a gift of God, or as in my case, God is truth. That is the miracle of it. We are not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. This is how we react, so long as we keep fit, as long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. And the fit spiritual condition for me absolutely is understanding what the truth of the moment is. And every day, if ever I'm tempted, and I'm not really tempted on a daily basis, but if I was to sit in a pub for long enough, I would be. So the answer is, don't go in pubs. Anyway, 24 hours a day book. I'm so glad I talked to my brother earlier. April the 3rd. When I was drinking, I was absolutely selfish. I thought of myself first, last, and always. The universe revolved around me at the centre. When I woke up in the morning with a hangover, my only thought was how terrible I felt and about what I could do to make myself feel better. And the only thing I could think of was more liquor. To quit was impossible. I couldn't see beyond myself and my own need for another drink. Can I now look forward, look out, and beyond my own selfishness? And yes, to a large extent. I mean, the selfishness is a big question for me, because how selfish is it when all we can do is think about the next drink, or you don't even think about it, you just do it automatically. I think the gift is knowing where we are. And someone gave me this book to read, Practice the Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle. And the opening part says here, the beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the thinker. The moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, that thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner space, arise from beyond the mind. You begin to awaken. And that's a beautiful statement, really, of the whole of being, which includes not only our thinking selves, but our feeling selves, and that spiritual connection to the moment. How lucky we are if we get there just on a daily basis, and that's the only way we can do it. So, a good start to my day, and a good day yesterday, so not so bad this morning, and more later.